Focus to some other stories that we're tracking. The College of Defence Management, after conducting a study, has now recommended exploring ways to incorporate relevant teachings from ancient texts. Now, the study suggests that teachings from texts like the Bhagavad Gita and Kautilya's Arthashastra could be used in the military curriculum. The setting up of an Indian Culture Study Forum and a dedicated faculty for the research of this possibility is also being suggested. The project is aimed at exploring the ancient texts for strategic thinking and leadership in the Indian Armed Forces. So let's get you the details in terms of what does the study suggest, why, what is the rationale behind it, what is the purpose that it aims to fulfill, and what are the recommendations of this study as well. Let's break down all those details. So why are we suggesting the use of ancient texts for military training? Now, the study that has been concluded, we'll talk about those recommendations as well. The reason behind it is it wants to be in keeping with the renewed push towards greater Indianization of military, and we've heard even the Prime Minister talk about it time and again, most recently in Gujarat as well, aimed at exploring ancient Indian texts for strategic thinking and leadership. So these are recommendations by the study. The big question is whether these recommendations will be accepted and put in place or not. Also, what we're understanding is setting up of a roadmap for adopting best practices and thoughts of ancient texts. So this is essentially what the study is, recommending, and we'll try and understand how this plans to incorporate itself, whether it will be incorporated or not. Incorporating learning from ancient texts for strategy and for statecraft and military diplomacy. Let me go across to our colleague from News18.com, Amrita, who is joining us. Amrita, first talk to us about what the recommendations of the study have been.
So the recommendations are multifold. They have recommended that there should be texts, not just Bhagavad Gita and Arthashastra, but different other ancient Indian texts. And the relevant teachings from them should be slowly and steadily integrated into the current military training curriculum. So apart from that, there have been other recommendations like setting up of a dedicated faculty in the institution, that is the College of Military Defence Management. So, so there is this dedicated faculty, there is an Indian culture recommendation for an Indian culture club. The idea is to sort of include more and more texts, those are relevant to today's time, into the current curriculum. So this is one of the studies.
Okay.
And similar studies have been done in the past as well.
Okay, Amrita, thanks for getting us all those details. We also have Defence Analyst General K.K. Sinha also now joining us on the broadcast. General Sinha, good morning. Good to have you on the broadcast with us. I want to begin by understanding, what do you feel about these recommendations which now want to explore of different ways of how they can incorporate these ancient teachings and relevant teachings from ancient texts?
Good morning to you. I think it is a very good, step in the right directions. First I would like to bring out what the CDM is, the College of Defence Management. I have been there for 1 year. I have attended this college. When you graduate from, colonel to going to the brigadier, that is the time for higher defence, understanding. You go and attend, management courses over there. It's a wonderful, and then you do research work. Generally, a team is formed. It is all armed. It is Army, Navy, Air Force, a combined team under the your IDS, Integrated Defence Staff. You carry out a study and research, and then you put a paper. Generally, the things which is coming from the CDM gets implemented. And the topic and the idea, it doesn't come from the CDM itself. It comes from the higher up, higher directions of war. In this case, maybe the CDS maybe having given this particular thing to look into it. And they have, carried out the study, and they go very much in deep. It is a wonderful way of working for 3-4 months. Huge number of officers who has ground experiences. They carry out this research and they put up the proposal, which is, subject to recommendations by higher up. Now, coming to the idea of this, see, it is very, very important. What we happen, generally when the Indian Army was carved out from the British Army, when it was divided into India, and then if some portions has gone to Pakistan.
Sure.
The basic teachings were based on into the higher defense of war in our institution, based on some westernized literature. But we have got also something you have to understand, the grassroots level, where we have got regimentation system, where we have got a regiment, every regiment has got its training centers. Where is the Jawans are being taught. There will always been, teaching from ground level comes, like Sikh regiment.
Okay.
Hari Singh Nalwa, who is one of the greatest general, and Hari Singh Nalwa, now the narrative what you are happening in Afghanistan, because I'm bringing it out, there is a thing is that is the graveyard of empire. Hari Singh Nalwa, he was one of the general of Ranjit Singh, conquered Afghanistan twice, both Kandahar and Kabul, and Indian flags were there.
Okay.
India never occupied that. So those, like Maratha regiment, here I've got Shivaji, these literatures are there, it is being taught to the Jawan. With the officer lot also who joins the regiment, and I'm saying the fighting element of infantry. But it is not formalized in everywhere. It is not in Air Force, may not be, I'm not aware of, and Navy, whether it is there.
Yeah.
So now when it's coming to higher defense of war, which starts, shaping up from the YO days, young officers days, you go through and go to the National Defense.
Right. General Sinha, what I'm simply trying to understand is, how do you think if these recommendations that have been submitted, if they're accepted, how do you think they will enhance the military training? That's the biggest question.
See, the point is that, you have to understand. See, I'll just give you the example. If you take I will not take, the previous. Now you understand this Subhash Chandra Bose, who during the British's time raised armed forces which has Army, Navy, Air Force. Can you imagine? When the India was under the shackles of Britishers, he was able to do it, and his teachings, his theories, because he went right up to Germany, he went to Japan. He has a great thing, organizing army, then implementing it. The way he joined the hand with the Japanese, it has never been taught. It has never been part of our curriculum.
Okay.
The only thing, you pick up thesis because you do thesis in number of places that the higher officer, the commanders, everyone doesn't get a chance, because it is just 2% people who actually rises from the senior command, junior command, then the higher command, then the National Defense College. Not everyone. So if it becomes the part of every curriculum, it will be a wonderful thing. And we have got
so that's the word that's coming in from General Sinha, that it will be great. It will actually help in enhancing the military training. Well, as I said, we'll have to see if these recommendations are in fact accepted. But General Sinha, we leave the conversation there. Thank you so much for giving us those inputs. Let's also now get your wrap of some other stories that we are tracking. Hansa new generation aircraft successfully made its maiden flight from the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited airport yesterday. The aircraft will be certified within next 4 months before it gets inducted in the service.